and get my people in here. Get all my peoples in here. You're new. Hi, T. Sullivan. Who is the picture on the scene? Well, we have Sheena Morales, Woodall Morales on the left. And on the right of your phone is my moderator named Faith. And she is got some things she needs to get off her chest. My girl.
Hey.
Hi.
Well, look at me and Sheena, just looking like best buds up there.
I know. I mean, even with an unfiltered picture, without what do you call it? Filters.
That's crazy. She really paid $50 to troll me. That was the best $50 she ever spent, honestly. Good for her.
Yes. Abdullah needs to stop trying to get into my life. Who could be mean to Faith? Dark omens. This is correct. So earlier today, we received notification. Nope. Abdullah, you're goodbye.
You're goodbye.
No, I just don't like it's not someone that's like, I think it's like one of those, you know, when you get international people that end up like watching you for some reason and you're like, why are you up here? What are you doing? Oh, CJ wants to come up. Okay, CJ's got a mouth on her too. Oh, she doesn't want to come up. But, oh, Ray wants to come up. Okay, so Ray has a right to have this conversation too because this involves her friend Faith. Okay, so earlier today, make sure you tap and share, tap, 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 tap. We got a message from Erin, Sweetheart, who is the friend of Internet Sweetheart. Remember that group of people that were like paying Ethan to like roast people? And they wanted all these people to get roasted that were anti-gypsy. And so they, hi, Fancy.
Hey.
Today we got a message from Erin, and it was like all this money that they had spent on roasts.
Yeah, I to my understanding, it was like $600 or something.
Yeah. So Boston paid $100.
Of course she did.
Boston paid $100. Bree,
What she? Do you know what she paid it for?
I don't know who she paid for roasting. It was
Well, because I know that some of it was for protection for Bree, and some of it was for this and that. So I don't freaking know. Like that's the most ridiculous crap ever.
Boston is one of Bree's minions, but in
Right.
one of them there was $50 and it said to roast Faith.
Yes, I saw that.
And I'm like, there's only one Faith that anyone knows, and that's my Faith.
Yeah.
So Faith had some things she wanted to say.
I sure do. First, let me start off by saying, Sheena, instead of going gambling, you should have paid for Bree's water bill because she stinks for being shoved so far up Gypsy's ass. That's one. Two, Dreamer and Jeanette, I really hope that you're taking your vitamins because having osteoporosis and trying to do back bends to justify what Gypsy did is dangerous. You might break a hip. It's just been a long day.
It has been a long day. It's been a long couple of days. This week has been long.
And if, Sheena, I seen your profile, sweetheart. If, Bree's your hero, as you put as your last video with the nice little song and thing you did there, then your bar is pretty damn low. It's close to hell, actually. Like, you're just in the trenches, sweetheart. That's pathetic. That smells like desperation and sadness.
And you know why she's best friends? Because she saw a video where I was doing a video about what Gypsy's best friend was doing. And she thought, why is this lady bullying this lady named Bree? I need to check out Bree. So you watch a video about a woman that's crazy, doing crazy things with actual receipts, because you all know when I make a video on YouTube, what does it have? the receipts. I always have receipts.
Always.
Always. And so you really watched that video of Bree and you were like, I'm gonna go be that person's friend. And
And
then
it's
it started, our beef with Sheena started. Why, Faith? Because what did she say about me?
said that you were an alcoholic, and then she came on the panel and got mad, and then she left and exited out herself and didn't want to come back.
That one sip of wine means you're an alcoholic, apparently.
Yes. So she got mad. She said that she was a recovering schmalcoholic and that she could tell that I was an active schmalcoholic and that she was going to stand 10 toes down on it with her whole chest. Now, after seeing pictures of her toes, I'm concerned she can stand, or her feet. She looks a little swollen. I don't know if she's sick, but
She's got a liver disease, so I felt pretty bad about that. But you know what? I don't feel as bad anymore because clearly she can afford to spend $50 to roast me and go gambling, so it's fine.
yeah, so then she came over here and basically yelled at me and told me that I was a schmalcoholic on my own panel.
Yeah, I've been accused of that a lot.
And then,
I've also been accused of abusing barbiturates. I've been accused of using the M stuff. Yeah, the whole thing, you know. Because
she said I was a bad mom. And then so Faith got pissed because she's like a little bulldog, but she's not a mean bulldog. She's like,
I swear I'm friendly most of the time.
she's not like a Brie bulldog. She doesn't have fake troll accounts where she creates songs about people. Like, that's not Faith. She's got too many kids to do that.
And if I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna just say it for myself.
Yeah.
exactly, like that's the whole thing that I don't understand. Like, if you're gonna do it, fucking say it with your chest, man. I don't do anything that I don't freaking put my whole fucking name on it. If I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna say it. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong later, you know. But hand me the mic and I'll say it the fuck again. You know, like the cowardness that these people are is just it's astounding that they will hide between have 7 and 8 profiles and come in one right after the other, and no matter what you do, even if you're not even addressing them and you're blocking them, you know, you're the bad guy because you're blocking them. No, you're the bad guy for continuing to come in here 8, 9, 10 times after we've told you we don't want you in here. I have every right to tell people who I don't want in my freaking live. Sorry, it's my live, just like it's my house. You know what I mean?
Like the other night when you were upset and that person in the chat was like, why is Bree obsessed with or why is Fancy obsessed with Bree? And then why is Ryan obsessed with Bree? That was Bree leaving those comments under her account. Cindy.
Yes. Cindy Luhu.
Yeah.
Yes. That's because Sabrina Bell name is Cynthia D'Angelo. And I started making a thing of her, Cindy D. Luhu, because I wanted her to know I knew her real name. I wasn't trying to be all shitty about it. I just put a thing out letting her know, hey, you know what? I know your name now. And so then I guess Bree has now gone and made it her little, another backup that she has to her backup to her backup to her backup.
Was only you, Ivory Rose Grows Wild, and Bayou Beauty, Cajun Bayou Beauty.
Yes.
And I'm like, yo, you're not obvious, Bree. So
yeah.
After Sheena had a temper tantrum over here, I then tried to go over to Bree's because Bree wouldn't stop yapping about my son. And then I got kicked off of her panel and they wouldn't even let me say a word. And then that got Faith even more pissed off. And then Faith tried to go onto her panel. And then what happened?
She blocked me. She invited me and told me to come up. And then she immediately blocked me when I requested and kicked me out.
They do that to me too.
Is doing the right thing. You would too. What is the right thing? I'm defending somebody that defends somebody that's totally wrong and off in this world.
Hey, Kim, I was about $50 she ever freaking spent, okay? Thank you.
What is this Kim doing?
What is that? Is that another one of them? Like, this is just,
I hope so. Please go tell Sheena to come see me. Tell her I want to see her.
You tell her to come up here.
Please tell her to come see me. I just want to see her one time.
I think that was Boston under a fake account, or maybe it's Sheena, or maybe it's quadriplegic's wife, or
I
Leave
didn't
her
even know about
alone.
that
She
one. Quad.
paid for me
I
to
didn't
be
even know about
roasted.
her. I didn't even know about Quad until Ryan told me about her the other day, and I'm like, what are you even talking about? That's how much I don't pay attention to these people. Like, everybody's been trying to tell me this whole year, oh, this person is doing that, or this person is that person, or, and I'm like, I don't pay attention to any of it. I block and move on. I block and move on. And so, like, when people come to me and they're like, I think I know that this person is the one who did all of this, and I'm like, you're going to have to walk me through it, like, step by step, because I don't want. They want to sit here and be like, oh, you're so obsessed with us. No, I'm not. I'm obsessed with you going away. Like, literally, that's what I'm obsessed with. I'm obsessed with truth and you going away and leaving me alone. And that's why it's so crazy, because I don't even know who everyone is. Meanwhile, I've got 80 names on a sheet of paper, that I know are involved in stupid shit. But there's so many of them, and they get these backups so many freaking times. Like, who the hell knows who any of these people are,
For real. Oh, tonight we're going to do, I need to change my goal. I feel like I did lights last night for the holidays.
Those are my favorite. I love the lights, the hanging lights. They're so pretty.
Like what they do when you're like, well, I guess
I hope they know that they ever pay anybody else to come after me, I will pay them triple. Everybody on TikTok, I will pay you triple to roast them if they try me again. I mean it, because they can't even pay a $20 water bill. Don't play with me. Do not play with me.
look at this.
That was
Hey,
the
they'll
last.
just do it for free.
Backup. Hey, it's just terrifying. These people can have 1 million backups with 1 follower and 17 following.
Yes.
Okay, Bree.
Yes.
That was probably
Dude.
awesome.
Okay, the night that we were on live, Aubrey kept coming in 9,000 times. There was a night that Ryan and I were on live at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and she made no less than 7 brand new accounts in like a 30-minute period to come in and harass us. That Aubrey Strawberry. And I'm just like, what is it that you feel this is necessary? Like, you clearly are the obsessed person, because I'm not making 7 profiles to come harass you. Like, it's just weird. And it's scary, and we can do nothing about it. That's the thing. Like, I don't know what to do at this point,
Except laugh. Okay, so my question for Sheena, though, is why are you so upset with your life that you have to go after the most perfect, magical woman in the world, Faith? What did she do to you?
I made her get upset and she hopped off the live.
Okay, let's do paper cranes. I like these ones. Okay.
No, it doesn't take forever. Do you know what they do? They have a WhatsApp, and then what they do, because I didn't understand how they could make them so fast either, because I was like, oh my God, how many times can you freaking go into Google and make another email? So somebody was explaining to me that has done this before. She's like, nope, they get a WhatsApp, and then what they do is every single time you block or ban or kick out or whatever one of them, then they just request a new phone number. It comes through almost immediately. And then, oh, thank you guys. It comes through almost immediately, and then they can come right back in. I mean, and that's why I couldn't figure it out, because I was like, oh my God, it's just insanity how many times they're doing this, like, so.
So you can also buy like, there's like ways that I've heard that people will like buy a bunch of like email addresses that are like pre-made, so that like it's already set and they can just like plop that one in. I don't understand that level of trolling. It's never been something I'm into.
I don't get it at all, so it doesn't make any sense to me either.
Tonight is on the one side, on the left is Sheena, who thinks I'm a schmalkaholic and a child schmaboozer of my son, and I am Munchausen by proxy like Dee Dee, because Christy Blanchard's favorite accusation against women she doesn't like is to accuse them of MVP. Why exactly is she accused Dee Dee? Hey, Naughty.
Hey, how are y'all?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
So Nadi is here tonight because she is now on Bree's radar, everyone. Welcome, Nadi.
I am definitely on her radar, apparently.
She was so mad at Ethan and Wendy because they went to the see, Ethan and Wendy were like they did a sneak attack. Unlike Pink Pony Club, who kind of announced what she was doing all over the place, Ethan and Wendy kind of snuck in and they were just like, yeah, we're like, Ethan's like, I'm a really great true crime reporter. I'm totally on your side. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then he got back and he was like, yeah, that was weird. And so he bamboozled them and fooled them. And then Bree was like, saw his video the next day and was like, wait, I thought they were on our side. And they got mad.
Oh, were you talking about Ethan? He's the one with the real curly hair, right? And that
Real
did the
tall.
report about, yeah, and did the report about her book not being there. Is that Ethan?
Yes, that's the one.
Yes. Okay, I know who he is. I've been talking to him since the beginning of all of this.
He's like
Um,
he's like kind of sassy, but he's like,
yeah,
but he's
I was
not.
on his channel a long time ago.
He's
So
What cracks me up is that they sat there and said in one of their videos that they made of me that I was online all day saying that I was going to do mean things to Gypsy and all this stuff. Hello, I drove 2 hours to go to this signing. I crocheted the whole way in my Jeep. I was not doing what they said I was doing.
yeah. So were you not? But you weren't out. So did you pay to go inside too, or did you just go in?
No, I paid for 2 tickets for me and my husband because I wasn't going alone.
Well, yeah.
And so I have an extra book that I can't even give away.
That's so gross. That book is so gross.
Yeah. So, and apparently they've made a couple of videos regarding me and Ethan now.
Yeah, they went live last night and they were so mad about it. And they were basically like saying that, so Ethan made the point of saying that all the books were gone, right? And so why would all the books be gone if they just promoted this book? It doesn't make sense. And so the question was like, was this a staged thing with Lifetime? And so Bree's like rambling on her live and she's like, well, those weren't even the bookstore's books. Those were Gypsy's books. She brought 200 of her books. But see, here's the thing. She said that 300 people showed up, but there was only 200 books. What?
Books? Right. Well, and that's the thing. Like I was explaining this earlier when everybody was talking about the fact that the books were pulled. It's not necessarily that the books were pulled. This is common when you do book signings. Because I've been looking into this for my own tour. So generally, what happens is a author will bring their own author copies with them, unless the store itself has ordered a good amount. But most stores like Borders or Barnes and Noble or whatever like that will only carry between 2 and 5 copies, depending on how popular they think the book will be, and then they'll order accordingly. If they sell out. And then smaller bookstores usually only carry 1 to 2 actual books in the store. But for a book signing like that, yeah, they got a portion of the profits. Lifetime organized it. They brought the 200 books or whatever. They were pre-signed, which I think is weird. I don't understand that at all. I guess that's because she just didn't want anybody near her, which is that's the whole point of the freaking meet and greet, but whatever, so, and then when they leave, the books don't stay. That's the thing. The bookstores don't have to carry the books after that. They just do the one event and they get paid for that event. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's basically just like the bookstore is it's like you're hosting a wedding and the bookstore is the venue.
Yes,
Well,
that's exactly
wouldn't
it.
you think that they would at least carry 2 books? I mean, they had Caroline, which is she is a cook. What do you call that?
Right.
And she's big on TikTok. And they had a signing with her. They had
Right.
a stack, and when I say they probably had probably 50 books of hers in the store
Right.
stacked up.
Well, then that's
Okay,
interesting.
okay, so here's what I've found today. And I'm
Mhm.
gonna honest, I think there's an ethical issue happening with bookstores when it comes to this book. And I think the ethical issue is that, ethically speaking, most publishers would not have published this book
No.
because it is denigrating the victim.
Well, and it's borderline PORN, you know? I mean, seriously.
Well, hold up. Let me finish. So
Yeah.
it's that too, Fancy, but I think it's the ethical consideration here that no major publishers would actually take her on because they were concerned about Son of Sam Law, okay? And because of Son of Sam, any proceeds that she would make are subject to anyone that's a victim of the family getting access to that money, which is going to make sellers more cautious in selling it because ethically speaking, she shouldn't have written the book. And
Right.
they're selling a product to the public that is degrading and slandering a victim of murder
Right.
for the profit of the murderer.
Yes.
So it's just not a good look for a bookstore to have it on their shelf. And Barnes and Noble is not carrying it in stores. You can only get it online. Target will not carry it in store. You can only get it online.
Okay, so then if that's the case, I would assume, let me tell you what I've learned lately because I'm looking into becoming an actual publisher beyond just my own self-publishing. We've been working on this for a while. That would indicate to me that she's got like a deal with someone like Ingram Spark, which what they do is they will farm the book out to different online bookstores like that. Now you can go through like KDP, that's Amazon, they have their own. Barnes and Noble has their own too. But if you're trying to get it across like to all kinds of different little outlets like that, and even into like libraries or anything like that, Ingram Spark or a variety of different other ones like that. And they're usually, you know, online, print on demand kind of things. So that makes sense to me.
Her publisher is Ben Bella Books, which is an independent publisher
Yeah.
in Dallas. They also published the book by Rachel Dolezal, the woman that faked being black and was the president of the ACLU in the NCAA or whatever in Washington. She posed and pretend like she was black.
Yes. You're talking about. Yes.
It's horrible. Like, why would you publish a book by a woman that impersonated being black?
Who knows?
About why she impersonated being black, where she continues to identify with being black and goes to the extent of changing her name to a Nigerian name so that she really could be black,
That's ridiculous.
even though she was a white girl from Montana. NAACP. Thank you. So nobody is actually carrying. Walmart isn't even carrying it. You know, I was like, whoa. Books A Million, which is a book place, has it in some locations, but not all.
Yeah.
The largest retailer for books in the nation, other than Amazon, is Barnes and Noble.
Yes.
And most people, that's where you go if you're just going to go for the books. Otherwise, you might pick up a book if you're at Walmart or Target.
I did call our Barnes and Nobles last night. They said they had one on the shelf, and they asked me if I wanted them to hold it for me. And I was like, no, I'll come tomorrow. If it's there, it's meant to be. If not, oh well. But she said there was one on the shelf. She went and looked for me.
Oh, Ethan.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So, Ethan went there, and there were no books there, so obviously that was the whole thing. But Dorla and Claudia left comments. I saw those finally on Pink Pony Club's page, and they're clearly not supportive of Gypsy writing this book.
Yeah.
I mean, Claudia was, I hope they feel pain for what they did someday.
Yeah.
So my question is, after I did this video, another creator spoke to someone, and they wouldn't tell me who, but they were basically saying, oh, Gypsy pre-signed because she was nervous, and she just didn't have a pen because she just didn't want to have a pen. And I'm like,
The excuses that they make up are so weird and flimsy.
I know, why
It
would you
blows
need
my mind.
this to sign and then because Wendy, remember the woman that did you have the pen or did I?
I had the pen and I asked her if she could make it to me. And she was like, no, I'm sorry. They're already pre-signed. That's fine if they were pre-signed, but she could have been set up to where she would, add a name.
Personal, yeah, add a name or a personal
I
thing.
mean,
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
I was
The
expecting.
thing is, like most book signings I've ever seen, I mean, I covered the Duggars and they wrote all those dumb books. And if you went to a book signing for the Duggars back in the day, it was like 500 people that were there, right? And they signed the books to individual people.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Right. And like they would say,
That's what I'm planning on doing as I go across the country. So yeah.
Katie, thank you for buying this book. May the Lord bless you with 27 children. Jim Bob.
Did
That's
he
a
really
great
write that? Or
I love that.
No, I don't.
May the Lord bless you with
And then
27.
Michelle would sign the book. Katie, always remember to be joyfully available, even if you don't want to have sex. It's how you keep your man happy and how you get free money. Michelle.
Aren't they the ones that believe in putting like the oil like that's like burn? They'll probably burn.
The hoo-ha to numb the lidocaine, to stretch the cervix, to stretch the bag open.
God. Okay, so when I was young mom, we went to this church and there was a young family there. The guy was a lawyer and they had like, I don't know, bazillion children. And their whole goal was to like have a child for every letter of the freaking alphabet. They're like, and God will choose to bless us with this many. I'm like, when is your uterus going to like collapse and fall out of you? Like it was just crazy. Every year she was pregnant. Every year. I'm like, how are you going to get this many children? Do you know how many letters are in the freaking alphabet?
So the question was, is when you got there, did they tell you why she didn't have a pen?
No, they never said that. They never gave a reason or anything.
Because whoever talked to this creator said people were notified that she was nervous and that's why she didn't have a pen.
They said nothing about that. I just remember one lady coming out saying, you will get your email with your pictures, so y'all don't panic. They made us put our purses away and everything, but I did have my pen in my hand with me. Not my purse, but my pen. So I don't know. I don't think she was nervous.
You weren't allowed to take like your own picture. You had to like they took a picture for you and they sent it to you.
Yes, we got them by email because like we were
Oh,
not
wow.
allowed to bring our purses in there or anything.
And then the other thing they said was the reason why people had to put their purses away and not bring their phones in is because there were threats against Gypsy and they had to protect her safety. And I was like, no, Gypsy, stop lying. It was because Lifetime didn't want anyone sneaking a phone in and filming and exposing before they get a chance to do it.
Right.
Which is the reason why Pink Pony was tossed out.
Right.
Right.
It has nothing to do with Gypsy being protected. And the police were there because Bree kept making threats online.
Yes.
They weren't there because of Pink Pony. They were there because of Bree. But then Bree was running around like a maniac, kicking everyone out, when really she's like, should have been saying, hey, this is the person I'm going to shoot if you don't, But
It was a nightmare. Let's just call it what it is.
I
It's a
can't
nightmare.
believe she videoed me of like I am nobody, and she was videoing me and asking her mod, Crystal, this is the one? Like that was so weird, and then posted it all.
that what?
That is weird.
Yeah,
What did they post?
they were asked. She was live, and I didn't know she was live, and then she turned around and she turned her phone around and said, Crystal, is this the naughty Wendy? She wants to know why she's blocked. And then Crystal apparently said, well, she's been talking mean all day on everybody's lives and stuff. And I'm like, okay, first of all, that's not true.
They
You
said
know?
to you at the event.
Wait, say that again.
Say that to you at the event.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
What? Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
They did that to you at the event?
At the event, yes.
Oh
So
my God.
were they trying to keep you out of there?
Maybe, I don't know, but I mean, I just walked over to the side and minded my own business after that.
So
Notice how you didn't get tossed out though.
No, but her eyes were on me and Ethan a lot. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
she was so nice to him when she saw him.
Oh, yeah.
She's like,
Super nice.
"Oh, hi, Ethan. Oh, it's so nice to meet you."
Mm-hmm.
And then on the live last night, they're all, "Well, we're gonna have to let Gypsy know that he's not on our side." Like,
Right. Like, he's not on either side. I mean, he's just
He's
there
not on
reporting.
But he's been reporting on this from the very beginning. So
Yeah.
like how would oh for crying out loud.
They are just grasping for straws to talk about somebody to be harassing people.
Well, I think both sides like look, I the whole situation with Morbid and Nina and all of them and what their whole role in this stuff is, and then that side, they're running out of content, guys. They have nothing left. Like this book is going to be fodder for everybody. That's wonderful. We all get to make content on that for sure. But I'm just saying that they're grasping at straws at this point. There is no more story, and her views are dwindling. Her support is nil. I mean, it's getting to a point now where these people that have banked their thing on this, and this is their content, they're going to have to move on to new content, and I don't know what they don't know what they're going to do. I don't think they had any thought process of what they would do once this gravy train of Gypsy train came to an end.
Yeah.
So I think now they're trying to create scenarios, and I think that's why they keep the drama going with both sides at each other, and why they keep shaming each other and doing all that, because it's all they have now. There's nothing left for them to diagnose, and pick apart and make content about. There's nothing. That's it. We're done.
truth, it's really weird in here that you're defending this because we know exactly why the police were there. It was because Bree, I actually reported, and other people reported to the bookstore that Bree had been live that night before and was threatening to bring her gun, and same was Rogie. That's why the police were there. It had nothing to do with the protesters showing up. It had nothing.
Well, I do know that Gypsy hired her own off-duty cops, though,
They were actually
or Lifetime did, whatever.
They were Lifetime. They were actually New Orleans Police Department, and they were there under the concerns of the threats that were being made. And he told Pink Pony that's why they were there, because of the threats that had been made. That's why they were there. It had nothing to do with Gypsy. It wasn't to keep Gypsy safe. Gypsy
Right.
was fine. It was to keep the public safe.
Where's
Right.
parole exactly? Like, why isn't parole doing anything about this? That's scary.
Right.
Parole has never done anything, and Parole is not going to. They want to be able to wash their hands of her. They don't want to deal with her anymore. And who would? I mean, who wants to deal with this? Missouri was like, get the fuck out. We don't even care. Go away. Get out of here right now. No, you cannot stay for the game. Get out. And Louisiana got saddled with her. And I think everybody's just hoping, okay, if we can get through this whole period of her being on parole, then we're all in the clear. And if she screws up again, well, that's on her. We don't have to deal with it. We don't have to do it,
I know you're like very excited to share. I just want to finish my sentence here for a second.
I'm sorry.
I know you have ADHD, so you have a tendency to ramble. My point here, you do. My point here is that I just muted Gypsy Rose TikTok because lately I've noticed on her page she's getting way too friendly to Gypsy. But there are not threats on Gypsy's life. It's not, no one's going to hurt her. The people that went there weren't going to hurt her. The reason
No.
why the police were there were because Bree and Rogie literally, in the week leading up to this happening, Rogie said he was going to have his weapon on him and he would use it. That's why the police were there. It was not about Gypsy. And Gypsy has a really, really, really bad temper, y'all. And why wasn't Gypsy allowed to have a pen? Because a pen can be a fucking weapon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So do you think they weren't planning on pre-signing all the books then, Katie, and they did that because of all the threats that were happening and they had to?
I think they removed the concept of her signing because they couldn't trust that if somebody did say something to her, she wouldn't react.
Wow.
Not there to protect Gypsy, you guys. Like, she's the one that has a history of violence, not the people that are visiting to get this book.
Well, I have a question about our pew pew laws because we just got that enacted to where we can carry.
Yeah.
So could people have carried them to this with no intentions of using them, but having them on them?
Yes.
I mean,
They can
we
have-
don't. We're too chicken, but you know.
Rogie carries and packs with him everywhere he goes, he said.
I do too.
So my thing with Gypsy is she always says, nobody will say it to my face, right? But Gypsy's already made threats that if people do say it to her face, she will defend herself.
Right.
If you are a woman that was convicted of murder and you stabbed a woman to death, do you really think they're going to have the opportunity to give you a pen that could be thrust into someone if they say something to you? No. And I don't think from a liability standpoint, the bookstore is going to want to deal with that kind of that kind of possibility.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Like, but I don't know. Do we have that on camera where the officer, because Pink Pony said a lot of things that happened on camera. I did not see that on camera. So I'm trying to figure out when these certain things that she's telling us happened.
No, he
happened.
said it. It's on her live stream. He said, I'm here to protect you.
I heard that.
Them.
Okay. Was that on that? But what I'm asking is was that before Morbid went live or was that when she was live at the bookstore?
That was when she was live at the bookstore. I was charging up my phone and I was watching that happen.
He did
And
not
that-
say, I am here to protect Gypsy. He said, I am here to protect you. And he said, don't do anything. Please don't do anything that will get you hurt. And he's like, and she's like, or he's like, please don't do anything, something. And she goes, what do you mean? And he goes, I've seen this happen before, because she's like, yeah, I know about the threats. She said that to him. Like, I know about the threats. They've been threatening my life. And he said, I've seen this stuff like this happen before, and it doesn't end well. And I don't want you to get harmed. Like, he was legitimately concerned that if she did something, they would shoot her.
That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
Really weird because he's been to jail for domestic violence, so I'm really not understanding how he's allowed to carry anything.
If he doesn't have a felony, if it wasn't a felony, he can carry.
I don't know, in my state, any domestic dispute against a family member, and it was his girlfriend, the mother of his children, is considered a felony automatically.
Yeah, I don't think he was charged with a felony though. So yeah.
Just in case any of them are listening, I am friends with the governor of our state, so don't even start with me.
Yeah, so this was the officer that stood at the end of it with her, and he basically was just saying, like,
I heard all that. Okay, so I got that part. I know what you're talking about then. Because I was trying to put a timeline of how all this went down because she talked about other things that happened, but they didn't happen on camera. And so I was like, I don't even know if any of that actually happened. And she acted like a whole bunch of police officers. She said a whole bunch of police officers swarmed her in the bookstore. That's not what happened. We all saw what happened. Lifetime and them asked who she was, if she was Pink Pony, and they wanted her to turn off her freaking camera. She didn't. And then she was escorted out. There was not a swarming of police officers around her.
There was 4 police officers that moved into the. So yes, there were. There was 2 across from her, 1 on one side of her, and 1 on the other, and then the bookstore owner. There was 4 officers.
So if they're there to protect her, why would they act like that?
She's a threat to the event because people were threatening to shoot her.
I
She's
see.
personally a threat.
I see. Now that makes sense. Okay.
The event because people were threatening to pew her.
I see.
And seriously, the whole atmosphere of the place was not like that. Like, I would have never thought that that kind of stuff was being said or thought of. Like, everybody seemed just normal, and, you know, there was no disgruntled people or anything like that. They were just a lot of curious people.
Okay, so
I looked at all the pictures and I counted up all the people, and some of them I never saw these people in line. So I do think that there were some that were not paying customers, if you know what I mean.
yeah, that
Yes.
not by Lifetime or whatever.
Well, because Bree tried to say that 300 people showed up. There was not 300 people there at
I
any
didn't
point.
think so. I
They were
thought
gone.
and I thought maybe 200.
Hold up.
Not even that, I don't even think, because it looked like like maybe 50, 60 people outside, and then they were all gone within minutes, and then it was over.
I was number 121 and 22.
Yeah.
So there was at least 150.
So did you get a call early the day before or whatever? Did you get an email early the day before that you could come by any time and pick up your number?
Yes, I got an email, but I didn't even know I got the email because I don't check emails very much. And Ethan had messaged me and said, "Hey, did you get your number?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And so we just happened to drive in early that day because we had planned to just, walk around and stuff. So we went by
Yeah.
there first and got our number.
I see.
So
Interesting.
yeah, they didn't let us know anything about that until like the day before.
So basically, the information that was given by this content creator in her video it wasn't Gypsy, but I guarantee you it's someone connected to Gypsy, because what was said in the video is not what you said, Wendy, what Ethan said, or what, I don't know what the other ones was, Anna, what she said happened. Because they made it seem like everyone was told that Gypsy wouldn't have a pen because she was nervous and she pre-signed everything. And so she couldn't sign anything personally. And I was like, that didn't happen. And that the police were there to protect Gypsy. And I was like, no, that's not even true. And that she was too nervous to do personalized signatures. And it's like, I honestly think that, again, she was too nervous to be confronted by someone
Yeah.
that was
Yes.
there, that didn't support her but was still there, because Gypsy can't take criticism.
They should have asked to sign it to Dee Dee.
And then you've got people acting like it's Bizarro World. So you've got Lifetime acting like it's an atrocity, that anyone would be horrified that a schmurderer is selling a book about their victim. And the book is crazy, because if you actually read the book, she contradicts herself a million times. She said that after shooting her mom with the pew with the BB gun, that her mom was never physical ever with her ever again, because her mom was scared of her. But then a chapter later, she says that her mom dragged her and dumped her into a shed.
Right. A shed that had no floor, but there's a floor in the shed.
But she said it after that happened with the pew, nothing ever happened. But then she wants us to believe that she got dumped in a shed, which absolutely never happened.
Well, okay, and
It's just her-
that story's changed. The shed story has changed so many times, and in this story, I noticed she was put in there, and she's not chained up or anything. Because before she told me that she was chained up out there, that she was like put out there, and she was made to, you know, her mother would chain her to the toddler bed or whatever. Okay, so then this version, she talks about being shoved in there, and she hears the padlock door go off, and she's in there, and she's got to search for clothes and all that stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, but the window was right there. So if you wanted out of the shed, all you needed to do was get out the window. Like,
You mean just like all she had to do was walk? Yeah, she has a problem doing that.
Hey, again,
but it don't happen. That's the thing. And she's lying about the fact that the shed has a dirt floor, and no, it doesn't.
Fancy. I need to
Sorry.
finish the sentence again. I was in the middle of a sentence and you cut me off, and I don't want to be rude. I just want
I'm
to
sorry, sweetie. I'm sorry.
finish without you interrupting me.
Okay, I promise I'll be good.
So, and I don't speak very fast like you do. So here's the thing. She claims in 2011 that her mother never, ever, I'm not being rude, Amy. I'm trying to actually get a word in edgewise and finish a sentence. And
She's fine. She's fine. She's not being rude.
Gets very excited. She does. She does. I know how Fancy operates. I'm not trying to be rude. So, anyways, she did say in this book, right, that after she did this, Dee Dee was scared of her, and that Dee Dee was so scared of her that she told her that if she dies, it's going to be Gypsy that murders her.
Yes, I remember that part. Yes.
And she wants us to believe that after she says her mom never harmed her again, then she's shoved her into this shed, which was never a part of the story until she needed more drama for this book. All of her stories, if you actually look through the medical records and how Dee Dee fabricated stuff in order to like bamboozle and get free shit, is like how Dee Dee would add things over time that were irrelevant and not necessary and not true, because she needed to qualify for things that she wanted, whether it was a free trip or a house or charity or whatever, or getting Gypsy a Child of the Year thing. Like, they embellish and keep embellishing, and they keep embellishing that the story just keeps altering and changing, that there's no actual basis in reality. And so when I'm reading the book and I'm going through this, okay, Gypsy, you said in 2011 your mom was completely not scared of you. So that means for 4 years, 4 fucking years, Gypsy, you had the upper hand. 4 years, you had the upper hand, Gypsy, and you could have left. And during that time, Gypsy, you also said during the same period that your mom's health was failing, that she spent most of her time in bed sleeping and in pain, or dealing with complications from diabetes, which you call her fat and a bad diet and like body shame her and make her feel like terrible. And you talk about her heart condition and how she's got mental illness. And so most of the time she's not even around, and you're doing whatever the fuck you want, and you're online and you have a phone, and you lie and you say that you don't have your own phone when Dee Dee has messages to people and it's clear you have your own phone and you actually have your own laptop. You're just lying because you need to create more like layers to make yourself look like the victim that was trapped and had to leave and had to kill. And it's like, this is all in a book along with deviant sexual bullshit and gross stories about inmates and feces that are not necessary, or stupid stories about biscuits and gravy, which didn't happen. And then you add to the layer that she's profiting off of the crime, and that's why these bookstores want nothing to do with the book on their shelves.
Right. I can totally get behind that. Like, yeah, I wouldn't want them on there either. I can't imagine wanting that book on their shelves. It's beyond. It's a gross book to begin with. It's the story itself is just disgusting. But then all of her added BS in there is even like who wants a book that you're reading about her putting barbecue sauce on her body while in a tub? Like, be so for fucking real. Like, I just, the absolute absurdity of the things that she says. And now we're back again in this book to that she never had sex with Dan, and she never did anything with him, and her mom was forcing her to take these pregnancy tests, and she'd tell her she'd have to get a abortion if she got pregnant or whatever. And she's like, despite the fact that nothing happened, yet last book you explained exactly what happened, and this man testified in 2022 at Nick's appeal. So it just, the lies don't even make sense to me as to why she's lying about certain things. You know what I mean? Like, are you just lying to lie? Is it a fantasy that you have in your head? Like, I don't understand it. Like,
To be honest, I think it's manipulation and to control. And she's a pathological liar. So I honestly think there's a problem with her where, like, all she knows how to do is lie. She doesn't. Sometimes I wonder if Gypsy even can have a single sentence come out of her mouth where there's not a lie in it.
no, I don't think she can. So I was talking with, have you talked to the girl who just found out that one of her children has this same chromosome disorder? Her husband has it, and they suspect that her adult stepdaughter has it. Have you heard her talking yet? Okay.
She says
What?
the deletion that her son has is really small, though. It's like,
No, exactly. But she's talking more about what she talked a lot today. I was on with her, and she talked to me about, when her stepdaughter started making up stories, and how they started and how they formed and how smexual they were in nature at an 11-year-old, and they had no clue where it was coming from. Like, they did not understand where she was being able to make this up. And it began to make me really look at the way that this book is crafted and how it's so fantastical, the way that she even tells the stories.
the Lord
It can't just be a straightforward, so my mom was going to do this surgery and I was really upset about the surgery. No, it has to come where she's dramatizing it into, my mother was literally going to cut my throat and sever my vocal cords. Like, oh, come on now. That's not what was happening. First of all, it wasn't happening in the first place. But second of all, even if that was, it's not what they were going to do.
Yeah, for sure. No, like, she definitely pathological lying and like the antisocial personality disorder, which is sociopathy, is a part of this condition. It can be antisocial behavior.
Yep.
It can be a
Schizophrenia even is.
what?
Schizophrenia is
Yeah,
is
so schizophrenia. I did more diving into that, and it's not that. It's like a 10% increase above the regular public. So it's actually not that
right.
common. It's just there's an increase if that you could get it.
Yeah, there's an increase of autism in this. There's developmental delays, cognitive delays, behavioral delays. There's a lot of mental illness that can go into it. There's the hypersexuality that can go into this. And I was talking with this lady, and that's one of the reasons why I asked her about what was her son's deletion. And she said it was 200 KB compared to Gypsy's 2.74 MB.
Yeah, so her son was 700 KB.
No, she told me it was 200 today.
Today in my chat, she said 700.
Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm pretty sure it was 200, but maybe she said 700. I thought it was 200.
So when she was in my chat last night, I was like, oh, so it's your son's is actually pretty small.
Yes.
Like Gypsy's missing over 25 genes.
Yes.
And it's the largest that I've ever seen recorded of this.
817 KB. There she is. Okay, cool. Thank you, Allie. I thought it was 200, but I'm mistaken. So, but still, it's KB versus MB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a kilo is less than a meg.
Yeah, for sure. Way less. Yeah, way less. So, I mean, I think that that's the key to why hers is everything as big as it is. Because like her stepdaughter, she said they haven't fully diagnosed her, but she was saying that her stepdaughter has more of the behavioral stuff, whereas her son oh, here she is, had more of the medical stuff, but Gypsies is both, and I think that's because of has such a high deletion that it is. I mean, it is substantial.
Ellie, can you share what she was talking about with your stepdaughter and the stories?
So my stepdaughter, since we, like I said, we recently found out my son's diagnosis like 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago. It's been crazy, but she's getting tested. When she started when she was in 5th grade, so she was about 11 years old. And it first started that she went to school and told one of the teachers that her dad had touched her inappropriately. I don't know, not essayed, but the one with M. And that by the time I got there, she had recanted the story. And my husband and I, we were newlywed. We had just gotten custody of her maybe 6 months prior. And so I was like, okay, I was on edge. I'm like, that's my husband. So I took her to the emergency room, and I was like, we need to get a kit done on her, make sure everything's okay. She denied it. She'd already recanted at this point, but I was like, okay, are you saying that because you're nervous, you're scared, all of those things? And so it started at 11 years old, and from there it just got worse. It was it was like every 4 months there was a new story. No matter what we did end up homeschooling. Any male figure in her life did something to her, so she says. And there was one time that, her mom had lost custody of her, and at this point had lost visitations with her. And it was like after Thanksgiving weekend, and she had gotten a hold of my son's tablet because she wasn't allowed electronics, because every single time she did, she would find like an old school teacher and tell them that some story of something that had happened. And then this time was like it was after Thanksgiving. She'd reached out to this teacher at the high school and said, my mom's boyfriend ran a ring on me, and it happened over that fall break. And she hadn't seen her mom in 2 years at this point. But CPS ends up coming to the house, and the CPS worker was the same one that we'd been dealing with for several of these occasions. And she's like, if I didn't know you and I didn't know the story, we would have been coming in here with, our pew-pews drawn, because it's a federal crime. And I was like, oh my God, I have 2 babies in the house, and my husband was away because he travels for work. And it was just, they got worse as time went on. And yeah, we kind of did what Dee Dee did, is we kept her at home. We tried to protect all the people in our lives. She was around our friends and family, but most of them knew this, what to watch out for. When it first started, it caused a huge issue in our families because everybody would believe her. I mean, why would somebody make something up like this? So it was a huge issue in my entire family. My parents believed her, my sisters believed her, and then slowly, it would involve like my sister's daughter, and then my older sister would be like, oh, wait a second, no, that's not true because I was there, or whatever. And we got to the point to where anytime a story would come up, or she would go to an adult, I would be like, no, we're not doing this. So me, her, and whatever adult she had told the story to, we would all have the conversation face to face. That was the only way that we could break this, was to be, okay, you told, Carrie Smith this, and you told, and I was there, and you're here. And we had to call her out right then and there. We had to have the proof of whatever messages she was sending or whatever she was doing, whether it was with a school teacher, who she was talking to, because it was so bad. And she couldn't lie right then and there on the spot. She was not that quick-witted enough to be able to do it on the spot and with the proof. But the stories were just, it was insane. But most of the stories were either sexually related, or they were about self-harm. But I did ask her one of the days where like things had kind of got dropped. It was like, like about 3 months in, we kind of move on with our lives. We get on, okay, the drama part of it's over. And I asked her, I said, why do you do this? We're having a great time. Our family's happy. when stories weren't going on. Like, why would you disrupt? You're spoiled and you have, we have all these things. It's not like you don't have anything you want other than electronics. Um, and she said that it just made her more interesting. People would pay attention to her. And I was like, are you serious? Like, learn how to write a book. Because she was into the writing, kind of like Gypsy in this book were. Um, and I was just like, learn a hobby, get good at an art or something like that. And but it always was just like, I just like the attention. It makes me more interesting. If I say that so and so did this, then the adult that I'm talking to is going to be like doting on me, paying attention to me, responding 24/7. And then, there were times where if there was this one little girl that she was chatting with and wanted to have a relationship with, and she's like, the girl was like trying to get off the phone. It was like late at night or something. And she goes into talking about, well, I'm going to self-harm. And this girl's mom calls me or finds me on Facebook or FB, sorry. And is like, I don't know who you are. You don't know me, but our daughters are talking. And is this your daughter? I was like, yes. And I was like, this, and she was like, this lady's like 4 or 5 states away from us. I'm like, what are you talking about? But she said she did it so that the girl wouldn't get off the phone with her. I was like, so you traumatized this other preteen, or I guess she was a teenager at this point. But it was just insane. And it was all just so that she could.
It's very attention-seeking behavior.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. Manipulative and attention-seeking, yeah.
Did you get her like into therapy at any point?
So yeah, we did therapy for a while, and the problem became that she would go around and the therapist actually wanted to stop seeing her because she was going around telling people that she was allowed to do stuff to her arms and her wrists because that's therapeutic for her. She would go around and tell these things about and then when I would address it with the therapist, like, hey, this is what she's saying, and then she was saying that she was like overdosing on medication. And the therapist was like, look, I don't really need this for my career, and basically didn't want to deal with it. And then we've tried to admit her to a psych unit, and they said unless she was a direct harm to herself, that they would not take her. And because nothing was real, and there was no marks and nothing like that, they wouldn't do anything about it. We did try taking her to a couple different places. I mean, at the same time, I'm dealing with my kids who are autistic at this point, and there was just so much. And my husband travels. There was so much on our plates. We probably could have gotten more help, but it was just me, and like I was saying earlier, I'm only 14 years older than her. So at this time, I was 24. She's, 14, 15, and I didn't know what to do. My husband travels, and me and her mom would be in contact, and she didn't want to deal with it either. She goes, well, this is why you guys have custody, so you deal with it. And I was like, oh.
Did she get any diagnoses when she was in these places?
No, they were inconclusive because she would change her stories and tell them exactly what they would want to hear, so they couldn't come up with something real. At the time, we were leaning more towards the autism and just being socially, just not socially.
Sociopathy, because it's like if she's mirroring and changing and manipulating, it sounds just like Gypsy, honestly.
And that's what, like I was telling Fancy earlier, is like I started listening to all of this Gypsy Rose stuff because my kids are autistic. And my oldest, the one that has the same deletion, is very vulnerable. I was like, obviously there's a huge age, this happened years ago, whatever. I was like, but my son could easily be manipulated by somebody. And it was just terrifying to think of that. And then this diagnosis comes, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And it's kind of just brought out a whole different side. And like, okay, from Dee Dee's aspect, I can see where she would have been in those early years. I don't know what happened, how it got so bad and all that, but in the early years, I can relate to that because, we've fought 6 years to figure out what's wrong with my son. We've had the autism diagnosis since he was 3, but there were other things that they kept saying are not autism related, physical ailments. And so we've been fighting for 6 years. And I was telling her, it's just like, I felt like a hypochondriac every time I go into the doctor. I'm like, my kid's sick all the time. And they knew because he'd have the fevers and the ear infections and he would have all the symptoms, but they couldn't figure out why. And I was like,
Do you have any? So did he had recurrent ear infections?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Does he have a small head or is he small size?
So he also has a double Y chromosome, so he's XYY. So he's actually a giant. um, he has larger attributes because of that extra Y chromosome. So he's got the larger teeth. He's huge. I mean, he's 110 pounds, solid, no body fat and no muscle. And he's almost 5 feet tall.
How old is he?
9.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's a giant. And I'm only 5'3", so I'm like, okay.
Okay. Did he have any like of the eyes or the?
So he does have an eye issue, but I think it's more autism related, just not wanting to meet people's eyes. He did have issues when he was younger, not being able to kind of keep him focused. He was little and we were going through like the autism stuff. So, and I was learning I knew autism, but I didn't know autism. So a lot of it was just trying to figure out what's related to that. And at that time, like I said, I was young and I was like, oh, okay, well, that must just be that. Now it's kind of fixed itself for the most part. But he does still struggle with like keeping the eyes kind of straight sometimes.
So there's like a increased risk of like cataracts or something like that. But like, did he have any like developmental delays that were like?
So he was just kind of slow up in those early years. He didn't stand until he was 1. But at that point they're just like, oh, well, all kids are different, they hit milestones differently. So I didn't think anything of it. He was a little speech delayed and he was like a switch. It was the middle of July. We were downstairs. It was in the evening. It was a Friday. We're sitting on the couch and just one day he starts having meltdown after meltdown. He can't look at me. He is just screaming and wailing and he doesn't like want anything. He's just coming up to me panicked like a deer in headlights. And I'm like, what is going on? And I had left a voicemail to get an appointment in, and my pediatrician at the time had like a 24-hour service. So they called me right back to get an appointment scheduled. And they're like, okay, well, we can see him on Monday. And I'm like, that's not good enough for me. So I was, I go online. I'm like, what's wrong with my kid? And then I had found a kid that was in England that had like all the symptoms that my son was having. So he's like, when they diagnosed him, it was like a level 2. And I know everybody does it like different. So it's like a mild condition at the time. But
level 2 is moderate.
Yeah. And it was just like it was almost onset. So then we did a whole bunch of like testing around the house. Like, was there something that, caused it? Nothing came back. And we kind of just was like, okay, well, it's happened. I don't know what caused it, but we kind of went with it like that.
So did you have like any medical like issues? Like,
so yeah, when he was a baby, he wasn't necessarily, well, he was never diagnosed failure to thrive. However, he was like an 8 pound, 9 ounces kind of, he was a big baby. But he had issues feeding, whether it was at the breast or on a bottle. And he, at 3 months old, I remember like we were at Hobby Lobby and this lady comes up to me and she's like, oh my God, you have a newborn. And I was like, no, he's like 3 months old. And he had dropped so much weight and nobody said anything other than, add some rice to his formula. He was having wet diapers and, having his bowel movements and everything. And I never, I just didn't think of it because I was going to the doctors and I was doing everything they were telling me to do. And I was like, surely if there's an issue, he's they would say something because we were going to all of the checkups, all the appointments. We were in a breastfeeding class. They were weighing the diapers. He was fine. But he ended up dropping so much weight. And then slowly, as we started adding in more foods, he started to pick up some of the weight, and it kind of just balanced out.
Thanks for coming up, Wendy. Sorry.
Now we know. We went Thursday and had his swallow study done, and the muscles in his throat don't, because he does have hypotonia, which is what caused all of this. We were getting him checked because we thought he had EDS. And they were doing a huge thing.
There's a huge push online, and I don't know if you've been stuck in the mommy groups, but a lot of times I have a child with hypotonia, but there's this huge thing where people always want to say, well, if your child has like laxicity and flexibility, they have to have EDS. But it took us a long time to get all of my son's diagnoses as well. He doesn't have any chromosomal issues, but hypotonia causes all of those issues. So it's not even EDS.
Yeah, and so, but he's got like the hypermobility in the elbows where he does this weird thing. He'll stick them out all the way and they like curve up, and it's like grosses me out. And he'll be like, Mommy, look. But the pediatrician was kind of worried about some of the signs, so they put in the genetic request. And my younger son, who is 7, he got diagnosed with his autism when he was like 1. Because he was headbanging, he was tiptoe, he was doing all the physical signs. And we already knew with my older son that he had autism, that there was a high chance the younger one might have it, and he was showing all the physical signs. So they actually were working on some database for one of the hospitals, and they actually did a search for chromosomal issues on him, and he came back with a deletion of chromosomes, but in a completely different area. He's on like the 9 axis. And we're going to go back and get a full panel done on him. But I don't think he's got the same issue that my older son has.
Okay. So he had issues with So swallowing issues, which is the same thing that Gypsy is dealing with.
Yeah, so he can eat. And we, like I said, we just had
is small compared to Gypsy's. Like you said, 800 kilobase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's like 817.
And hers is 2.74 megabase.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Everybody tap because it's asking if the live is appropriate because Bree just got on, so she's trying to get us taken down because of her friend Sheena up there looking all cute and all that jazz.
Who said appropriate?
Live, when you come in, it asks you, we think it's appropriate because they're trying to report you.
Are you kidding me?
I didn't get any.
I've never even seen anything like that. Are you kidding me, Faith?
When you like go out and you come back in, it'll say, do you think this content is appropriate? Ask Janae too.
Oh.
Yeah, I double checked
I know what
it.
you're talking about.
Well, tap and like and send some gifts. I changed it to these little hello people.
Yeah, everyone say TikTok shop. Yes, they said yes. It just came. It asked me that a while ago. Yeah, see, they were
TikTok
reporting
shop.
it. I'm mad.
Thank you, everyone. Just make it look like everyone's happy and getting gifts and everything is satisfied and amazing. Send roses, send whatever. It can be like a one.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Who sent that?
I did.
Oh, thank you so much.
I sent one to you and to Faith. Okay, so that's a lot. And so when you're just talking about like what you're going through and the deletion is that much smaller, I'm trying to imagine like what Dee Dee went through.
Yeah, and that's been the big thing is, I don't know all of the thing, like all the medical that she had, but we're just now finding out 6 years later that my son has internal issues with the hypotonia as well. He's, part of the swallow study said that they gave him like a couple small swigs. Well, it was like 30 milliliters. I don't know. They put him in like little baby bottles with the barium to check for the swallow study. And in the small amount, it was like a 5-10 minute long study. When he was drinking the liquids, it was going down the trachea and it made it all the way down to the voice box. Um, and she said, that's like the last line of defense before it gets down into the lungs. And she's like, well, he didn't aspirate in this, short session. I'm sure he is at home. So he now has to go on to thickened liquids starting tomorrow after our GI visit. And I just never knew about it, and we've got the DNA. Like if I had gone in to the swallow study not knowing the genetic results yet, I'd probably be even more freaked out. Now I know, okay, well, this is contributing, and we only found out by chance because he got pneumonia real bad back in September when all of this started. And they had just the day before given me the diagnosis of hypotonia. And while we were at the children's hospital with the pneumonia, they were like, well, yeah, he's got hypotonia, then that means it's probably internal as well. And then just everything kind of clicked because he had a history of acid reflux, throwing up when he was asleep, all of these. He's got sleep apnea, obstructive sleep apnea. There's like so much stuff. And then they're like putting all the dots together for me. And I'm like,
I can tell you're new to this, so I can explain to you like what hypotonia is because my son has it. He has neurological condition. He doesn't have his pituitary gland. He's got a failure of the midline diffuse. It's not a genetic condition. It's how the neural tube develops when the cells divide, create the embryo. But hypotonia actually starts in the brain, and because the deletion has to do with neurological development, the hypotonia doesn't actually cause, it can deal with the internal muscles, but it's all because the brain is like not sending the right signals to the different muscles, which is why he deals with the swallowing issues. My son has a feeding tube. He's 12 because he has two kinds of dysphagia and he has gastroparesis. So he has a feeding tube because his stomach only works like 50%, and that's all a byproduct of the neurological condition. So like it literally, as you're saying everything, it's like my husband just walked by and he goes, all of this sounds all too familiar.
yeah, that's definitely good food for thought. We've got GI today, I guess it's 1:00. We've got GI today and pulmonary on the 7th, and they're gonna like our
Asthma is also super common with hypotonia because they can't expand their chests like as well as like hard. They can also have hypotonia in their mouth, so they can't make a good grasp on
and that's kind of where that's when they became aware in the children's hospital after he was starting to heal and be able to get off the oxygen breathing machine thing. And he was starting to eat. The speech pathologist lady came in and was like kind of watching him, and they said he doesn't eat. What word did they use? Almost like it makes it so much harder for him because he only chews with like the front two teeth, and he'll push the food back, but he doesn't do it in like a manner that is beneficial. He'll do it and it'll go to the sides, come back up, sides, come back up. And when he was a baby, he used to fall asleep eating, and we thought it was the cutest thing. Oh, he's in a food coma. No, now they're telling us, it's probably because he was so exhausted because it would take so much out of him.
Probably because his tongue he probably has a form of dysphagia with his tongue. My son is diagnosed with severe oral apraxia, which means like he can't grind. So he can only chew up and down. But in order to eat complex foods, you have to be able to grind your teeth to really chew the food. He can't do that. So his food would get stuck in the side of his teeth, on the side of his mouth, and he got an abscess in a tooth. He ended up becoming failure to thrive, and we ended up with a feeding tube. But if they are exhausted from it, feeding tubes are a great benefit.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that they said. They want to go in and do an exploratory to see what's going on, because when he eats solids, it gets stuck in his throat. So he does a lot of like throat clearing. But they were watching, with the barium, and half of the food would get stuck in the throat. So he would do a lot of clearing. So while he can still eat, it's just not
Safe.
it's not working right.
Yeah,
Hey,
without
Katie, I'm going to drop off, okay? Thank you for having me up. And Allie, I can't wait to hear more of your story.
Oh, thank you.
thanks, Fancy.
Okay, no problem. Have a good night.
You too.
Let me get out of here.
I'll get you. Okay.
Can you?
So have they brought up the concept of getting a tube?
It was briefly mentioned if he can't, the biggest issue right now is aspiration.
Yep.
So if the thickened liquids don't help, and they're going to do that, she's going to put him on it. And then, like I said, we see pulmonary on the 7th, and she's recommending a scan or x-ray or whatever they do, to check to see if there's anything in there. If he still has stuff in there, then she said we'll go to the next level. I mean, that's what they've told me so far. So we'll just go to the next level.
Like everything before they get there. Like that's the process we went through. We went through the swallow study. We went through feeding therapy. We tried everything.
Yeah, he's currently in feeding therapy. So he's in PT, OT, speech, and he's got 2 components of speech. So they actually work on, he's got a, oh my goodness, what's it called? Expressive language disorder.
Yeah.
So he's got that. And then they also do a second speech therapy where they work on food therapy for him.
So when you're talking about this stuff and all the stuff you're saying about how he's struggling to eat, those are all the things that Dee Dee reported.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going, so he's got an IEP at school, and I remember in first grade fighting them. I was like, he needs longer time to eat. And they're like, oh no, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. We'll watch him. And I was like, no, I need it in his IEP. He gets an extended lunch. If you can't give him an extended lunch, then he needs to be able to have a second snack throughout the day. And we went to battle on it. And they're like, well, he's just gonna be talking at lunch, this and that. And I'm like, no, this is while we're at home. It takes him 45 minutes to eat a hot dog because he eats so slow because he doesn't want to choke.
Dinners were an hour and a half. Meals before his feeding tube were like an hour and a half. Like, and he would be so exhausted. I hope that, I don't want to say like I hope that this is what you get, but if you get it, like I'll tell you, it's a game changer and his quality of life will be so much better. It's like night and day for my son. It was hard at first to accept it, but now that he has it, I'm like, this is so much easier than what you're going through because I did that like you did for years.
Yeah, it's just been, and that's like I was saying, like I've only been with 6 years without answers. I can't imagine how, and then back then, there just weren't resources like there are now, and it was bad to be special needs. It was bad to be needing extra things. So it just, when I think about it, like from Dee Dee's aspect, I'm like, look, the early years I can get behind. Once I think she got old enough, like I said, my daughter started stuff when she was 11 years old. And I think initially everything was meant to be like, my kid is sick and I don't know. But then it got to where it's like, oh wait, if we do it, we can get more out of it.
Yeah, she definitely like exaggerated things, and milked things to get extra, right? Like she knew the biggest thing I think she did was the muscular dystrophy, but she eventually got diagnosed with a level of muscle atrophy. She has some minor lesions in her spine, not huge ones, but hypotonia can cause leg weakness, and it makes it so people have a hard time walking long distances.
Yeah, we've had talks of wheelchairs.
My son we have a wheelchair for him that we don't do a push. Like he doesn't have the strength in his hands to push his own chair. So we have it's like a big kind of stroller thing. It's like so comfy. He loves it. When he's older, he'll need to get an electric chair because he'll never have that grip strength because of the hypotonia to like push or the lung capacity. So like when Gypsy talks about all this crap her mom was doing, it's like she was actually trying to help Gypsy's quality of life.
Oh yeah. Oh, wholeheartedly. And I think she was doing what she could with what she had. And, and the thing is, it comes in little pieces. Oh, let's treat this symptom. Let's treat this symptom instead of, oh, this is a whole big thing, you know. And I asked our therapist, or no, I asked the pediatrician the other day when we were doing an update on all the things that have come lately. And I was like, how long does he have to be in therapy? And that's one thing I want to know is like, did Gypsy ever get PT, OT, or any of the things?
She had PT, but no. And they had a therapist that actually came to the house. She actually had a tutor that came to the house. Gypsy lies about her lack of education. She had tutoring and people that actually came to her house up until she was an adult.
Yeah, and that's when I asked them, I was like, how long do we do? You can tell how new I am to like accepting all of this. I'm like, so how long do we see therapy? Is it like a year or and she goes, well, up until he's 18 and then it's his choice if he wants to continue. And I'm like, what? You mean and our therapy is 45 minutes away from where we live and we go up there 2 to 3 times a week because
That'll depend on what his IQ is and what his diagnosis is, because when he turns 18, if he qualifies, you might want to have guardianship over him.
yeah, so he's already he's on disability, so that for the insurance purposes, and they've asked if we wanted to collect Social Security. I declined. I was like, he's so little, I don't even want to deal with any of that. But no, he's got remedial areas in reading and writing. He can't hold a pencil because of the fine motor delays in his hand. But he's book smart. Like if he reads it, he can do it. But if he has to come up, like if you say, hey, can you explain an apple to me? He can't do it. But if he reads about it or has to like match it, he can do it.
Have you done a full neuropsychological evaluation of him yet?
We saw a neuropsychologist, I think is the most that we've done in that.
Okay. I don't know if they've done like the 2-day testing.
No, yes. Yeah, yeah, we took him up there because it was like an hour and a half away from us. Yeah, we took him up there a couple days in a row. And that's where they diagnosed him with like the ADHD, and I didn't even know he had it. They did the ADHD. They wrote up a big thing to give to this school so the school could make accommodations.
Do you have autism or just ADHD?
Now he's got autism, ADHD, sensory processing, OCD. I don't know, tons of them. I can't even keep track of them, to tell you the truth. I have them written down because I can't remember all of them.
That's where like, if you like work with your neuropsych, like our neuropsych basically was like, once we had it all done, she sat us down and explained everything to us and was just like, this is where he's at. This is where he'll mature to based on where he's at. And when he's 18, he'll need a guardian.
Yeah, ours was done back when he was like going into first grade. So, I mean, he's come a long way. Now he has to, like I said, he's got that expressive language disorder. So he had to be taught what hungry meant. He had to be taught, and even now he struggles. He'll be like, I'm full, instead of saying, hey, I don't like this, I don't want to eat this. Or he will say, I'm tired, when he, like when he had the pneumonia, I could just like kick my butt every day. But because he can't express himself, we had gone to do the genetics testing, and we had to walk not even 5 minutes down the road to the Children's Hospital to get a blood draw because they couldn't get it done there. He was like freaking out, and they tried pricking him 3 or 4 times. So they're like, just go down to Riley and they'll take care of him there. And on the way down there, he's like, I need a break. And, because we're looking at muscle issues, we're like, okay, he's just tired. Okay. So we take a break, and then we go finally get the blood draw, and it's the same way on the way back. Every 2-3 seconds, steps, whatever, he's having, like, I need a break. And that night, we were at home, and he was laying in the bed, and I was like, man, he must be getting, like, dehydrated. And so I started worrying about that. Well, my neighbor is in the medical field, so she brings over, like, the oxygen little finger thing and checks him, and he's at, like, 88%.
Oh, he needed oxygen.
And I'm like, okay, by the time I got him, and I mean, the hospital is literally like 2 minutes away from us. By the time I get him to the hospital, he's at 84. They drag him in there, like, skip the line, skip the waiting, everything, and put him on the oxygen mask. And it was awful.
Did he end up getting on a ventilator or?
Yeah. Well, at the third hospital, so we went to the one that was like by our house. They transferred us to their bigger location. They couldn't accommodate him there. They had him tapped out on the oxygen. So by time the children's hospital gets there, I mean, I literally, they get him all like hooked up to the bypassy thing, whatever it was. And I hear them out in the hallway yelling at the hospital staff. Why didn't you guys call us earlier? They couldn't even transport him until he got stable enough to be in the ambulance. And then we get there and they're like, if we can't get this under control in the next 45 minutes, then we're going to put him under. And I'm like, oh my God, what? And I'm there alone. My husband's with our other son, and I'm like, it was like the worst experience of my life. It's been the hardest that we've had so far, between the two kids, and both the kids are night and day. So, and it was just, but like I said, that was also like the best thing for us because now we're starting to get answers because of that trip.
So did they put him on the ventilator?
He was on, I don't think it was the ventilator. No, it was the mask, and it was like a bypassy type thing. It was doing the breathing for him.
Yeah, so it's a CPAP, pressurized air.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so that's like the second level up than just a cannula. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's told you, but you should never, now that you know he has a condition, you should always be at a children's hospital, no matter what you do.
Yeah, and I didn't even know, like I didn't even know I could request because I was like, okay, we have to stay in their network since we're out here. They would always transfer us because we've been to the hospital a couple times, and they were like, okay, well, we're going to transfer you to this other location. And then finally, at the other location, when they were trying to transfer him again, one of the nurses comes in and goes, why didn't you just ask for the children's hospital in the first place? I was like, I didn't know I could. Like, I mean, I was like, I did not know that I could do that. I thought I had to stay in the network since we were at your network. So now everything but our pediatrician is transferred to this children's hospital. They do all of our therapies. They do all of our specialists are through this company or this network. And now it's just, I know now. And I was like, I just wish I'd known that years ago.
Get plugged into a children's, it's like everything moves fast.
Yeah. I mean, it's been so much smoother. Our location, they just told me that they call it like airflow or I don't know, something where all of his specialists and therapists, because they're all in the same network, once we get all the testing and stuff, they're going to all get together to come up with the best plan for him.
That's how my son's children's is too.
And I tell you, I literally, when she said that, I started crying.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so much relief.
My son goes to a hospital specifically for kids with neurological disorders. It's like a specialty hospital in Minnesota. And they have this program just like that. And it was there's a children's hospital, but then this is a different one. He goes to children's for his heart. He had heart surgery there. But the neurological specialty hospital is exactly like how you sound. Yeah. And so we have like a complex care doctor that's like the umbrella doctor. And then she orders everything. And then they all filter through her. And then they report back to her. And then they all meet with her. And like his care is like seamless.
Yeah, I mean, we're like I said, we started all of ours in September, and so far, like, I mean, it took a minute because obviously from September to now to December, we're just now starting to get the appointments. They took a minute, but we're finally getting in there. We're getting another sleep study done, because when he first had it, there was just no way he was going to wear the machine at night.
Yeah.
But now that he's had experience since the pneumonia, because he had to have the the thing with the albuterol, he's fallen asleep with that on and everything, so he's a little bit more adjusted. So we're gonna go ahead and go in and do that and get him on, what is it called, the
Nebulizer.
The what?
Nebulizer?
Well, that's what he had when he had the pneumonia, but what is the thing when you stop breathing at night? And
Sleep apnea.
yeah, so they're going to get the machine for that, since he's already been diagnosed with it. And they're going to go in and just check. Yeah, I think it's the CPAP is what I'm thinking too.
It's like you're describing Gypsy's whole childhood.
I mean, like I said, I've always had the eyes of just the autism part, for Nick, and now it's just like, oh wait.
The funny thing is that not funny, haha, but like Gypsy ended up inpatient for like 2 or 3 months because she was at failure to thrive, and it was all the same issues your son was dealing with, like with acid reflux and swallowing issues and not safe to swallow. And she ended up getting the tube after like 2 or 3 months inpatient because she couldn't pass the swallow study and it wasn't safe to eat, and she couldn't gain weight. And she knows this. She knows why she got it, but she still publicly says her mom just forced doctors to do it. But she has privately told me what happened, and it wasn't fake.
Well, it's not as sexy if it's necessary. If it's not necessary, then there's like a whole vibe behind it,
Right.
It's, oh my God, why would she do that? Well, okay, well, your kid's got issues and that's why they need it. There's a huge difference in it.
She's not a victim. And when she told me that, I was like, Gypsy, my son has a feeding tube. So basically what you're saying is I'm abusing him because he needed it and the doctors put it in. And then you're saying your mom abused you because the doctors like exhausted all their options to make sure you could fucking grow. Like their downfall was with me was that I knew all of the shit she had and I was like, none of it added up.
Right.
I know. Yeah. IBV says, why did they think they could play you of all people?
I was just reading that. I was scrolling up and
They
reading.
couldn't play me because when she told me that, I was like, you would basically be accusing every mother that has a child with a feeding disorder and low muscle tone of being abusive. And you're not abusive, Allie. I'm not abusive. We're not Munchausen's moms. We have complex children.
I mean, I will get asked. I mean, I have gotten asked in the past, like questions where you can tell they're like, like I said, I had a huge problem feeling like a hypochondriac going through all of this.
That's but that's normal. Like I was,
Yeah, but I mean, we would get questioned, and I'm just like, now, accusing her of fighting for you so much and getting you all the help. If we gave up because we felt like that, or people accused us, then our kids would not get the help that they need.
right. And so what did you want, Gypsy, to be 3 feet tall? Because you couldn't, I mean, the girl was 36 fucking pounds when she was 8 years old or something like that. Like she was tiny. She was the size of like a 5-year-old or something. It was, I don't even know if she was 36 pounds. I think maybe 36 kilograms. I don't know. She was tiny. She fell off the growth charts.
I mean, her mom's trying to save her life,
Yeah.
and then she's like, "Oh no, she's not." But if Dee Dee hadn't done half the things that she'd done, she wouldn't be here.
Right. Like she legit was so tiny, she wasn't on the growth chart, that she finally ended up getting on the growth chart. And Gypsy lies when she says she was malnourished because I've seen her growth, like her medical records from after she got the feeding tube until basically up until the time she was arrested. And she was never underweight after she got her feeding tube. In fact, there were times where her height was like 3% and her weight was 25%. So her weight was actually normal. And she was just short because of the small stature of the condition, which is she doesn't have the extra whatever chromosome that you're
Yeah. No, mine's always been in the 100 percentile for everything. Other than like when he was like in that infant, 4 or 5 months where he wasn't getting the food in his system. But other than that, he's always been, I mean, he went from being the size of a 1-year-old to the size of a 4-year-old.
I mean, there's literally a record in her thing, and it's when she was like 13 or 14, and they said she's the size of a 7-year-old. That's in her medical records. She's a teenager that's the size of a 7-year-old. But you didn't have any problems, Gypsy. Dee Dee did not overreact. I don't know where that comment's coming from, but
Yeah, I was just saying that. I mean, I think, yeah, sometimes we do, but when we have a history that shows us that there's something more, every time, if we just took it nonchalantly, could be life-threatening.
her mom didn't restrict food. That's a lie. There was definitely things she fabricated to get more free stuff, but like she never had cancer. And she really milked the muscular dystrophy thing. That wasn't true. Well, I appreciate you sharing all of this. It's been very insightful. I'm sorry, like, if you ever need to talk, my DMs are always open as a mom that's gone through what you have. If you have questions, I'm always happy to help.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it's been, I went on Ivory's when we first kind of found things out, and then I was on Cajun Navy Jen. I don't know her thing. I talked to her a little bit today. But I mean, it's just, people, with everything going on with, the vigil that was supposed to happen, all that, I was just like, you know what, here's the little bit that we can do is talk about, from possibly where Dee Dee was at mentally and going through the process ourselves and it just being so fresh. I just try to give a little bit light on that side.
Well, and just empathy for Dee Dee is there's caregiver burnout, and she did it all on her own.
Yeah.
And then she got sick. Tracy said that she says cancer. Fancy says she did have cancer. That's her theory, but it's not actually in any of the records. So, last night we talked, and it sounds like there could have been a document fabricated by Dee Dee, and that Fancy said, "Oh, that makes more sense." But no, there was no cancer. All right. Well, Faith, before we go tonight,
Yes.
give you the final stage, and you're welcome to stay up, Ellie, or you can drop.
Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and drop. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming up tonight and sharing your story. You're truly a brave mama. Okay, so now we need to have Faith with her parting words and official roast of Sheena, Bree, Katie, Planty, whoever you have problems with.
Well, for one, Sheena, you should have saved that $50 to help Bree with her water bill because she looks like she needs it. She's got about 10 layers of pink eyeshadow because the only palette she can afford probably has pink eye at this point. Pretty disgusting. Let's see. She definitely stinks for being shoved up Gypsy's ass because that's all she knows how to be. She's got to pay for friends she can't afford and has to grift herself to get a baby shower gift. All her friends are on the internet, so you guys are really sad, lonely people. It's pretty pathetic. Two of your best friends should probably be in a nursing home, actually, which is a shame.
Poor Dreamer.
Yeah. Let's see.
So I don't even want to like get mad at Dreamer. I just am always worried, like, oh, she's got dementia.
She does, but she picked the wrong side, Katie. There's nothing we can do for her now.
There really is nothing we can do.
Let's see. What was the other thing? Oh, Rogie, you should learn to keep your hands to yourself before you try to protect someone else. You should have protected your girlfriend from yourself. She gets some mental health for that. It's real sad, real shame right there. And your kids witnessed it. So, whatever trauma you caused them, hope you live with that for the rest of your life. Poor you. Let's see.
Your husband was in the chat earlier.
Who, Rogie?
No, your husband.
Oh, was he?
You should show a picture of your husband. They wouldn't fuck with you then.
Oh, you've seen him?
Yes. Her dude is ripped.
Yeah.
He's like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he lifts, I think, 600 pounds or something. Something close to that anyway.
He's all tatted up. He would scare Rogie.
He's extremely tatted up, and he lifts, he's got a lot of tattoos. He's a professional tattoo artist, actually, and he owns his own company. And he lifts 600 pounds, so yeah, he's something, all right.
Um, so that means he's probably a better tattoo artist than Bobby Petrie, is what you're saying? Gypsy's tattoo cousin that
I
dragged.
I would definitely say so, yes. He's been featured in magazines for his work.
So he's a better tattoo artist, and he clearly doesn't support schmurderers for clout like Bobby Petrie.
No, he definitely doesn't. Definitely not. And the sad thing is, I didn't have a really big problem with Sheena, just that she tried to run her mouth and then ran over there. That and I was trying to be nice, because you always tell me to be nice.
Yes.
So I try to be nice. And it just I can't even believe that. So just so everyone knows that the next time someone tries to pay someone to roast me, I bought a $550,000 house in cash. Not trying to brag, but I will pay someone triple to roast them.
Girl, get it.
It is insane to me that they really tried it, and I didn't even do anything. I really didn't. I just don't support a murderer. And Bree, if she was really your friend, you wouldn't have to pay for that ticket for a book that you already had, and you were really crying over it. You had some tears about that. But to be fair, you couldn't even afford a baby shower gift for her. So I guess it's tit for tat now.
Yeah, and do you really want to fuck with Faith? Because if Faith wanted to, like, if you really want to fuck with Faith, you could probably, like, or me, because apparently the two of us could financially destroy you in a courtroom.
Exactly. I don't even know what $50. I'm worth more than $50, Sheena. You couldn't afford me, Sheena. Stop trying to buy me.
Girl.
She needs to go buy her some compression socks from Cankles. I didn't want to say it, Sheena, but you made me say it.
Tina, you're always talking about my looks. You're always making fun of me. I would never degrade your appearance, but I think you need some new glasses. And the I didn't show the bag you had in there, but it kind of looked like what a grandma would carry at the casino. And it almost looks like you're the lady at the casino with your inhaler in your bag smoking a cigarette.
The sad thing is that Sheena could have took that $50 and paid that water bill. And Bree, you're talking about how your husband works so you can stay home and be on live. Your husband's not making any money, sweetheart. You're broke. You need to go get a job. One of those things, because Gypsy clearly is not helping you. She could care less. All right? It's not working out for you. You're riding yourself directly into poverty.
And so, what the problem here is for these ladies is that we have people that send us the receipts that know what you guys are doing. And so, if you are still sending messages to Ethan, I'm just going to be super clear here. Internet sweethearts' DMs are monitored by people that aren't Ethan. So, when you send Ethan a message, other people are reading those messages. And those DMs might end up in my stories, maybe. Or any money you try to use to bribe him to roast us. But you really crossed a line when you went after Faith, because Faith is like the most beautiful, magical woman in the world that would never hurt a fly unless she gets really mad and you hurt my feelings, and then she might.
Exactly. Like that, they just go too far with it. And I'm not understanding. Earlier, Bree was on live and she had 12 people in there. Bree, 12. Only 12.
Preaching to the choir.
It's really sad. And she literally cries over the fact that her internet friends don't want to be friends with her.
I know.
She cries like a maniac. And Sheena, you literally are helping her support her rug habit. Why would you want to do that to a friend? Why would you do that? You know she has one. We all know she has one. She knows she has one. She said, "So what if I do?"
That is so significant that her septum is collapsed from it.
Yeah, maybe Gypsy can help you with a nose job, Bree, since you're her bestie. She got one for herself, because all those traumatic surgeries, she rushed right into getting that snoz fixed that could smell across the world.
She blocked all of us. That's why there's only 12 people on the internet left. That's true. And well, I don't even know what caused her page to get banned last night.
I
But
had no idea, but she deserved it.
you have to know that she's crying because she doesn't have another page that has 10,000 followers and she's not monetized on anything else. So she won't get the $40 that she used to get to pay her.
Oh, there goes her electric bill, guys. She's about to be without lights.
Yep.
She's not getting nothing now.
If she's live on another account, it doesn't matter. Like she's not going to get monetized on those videos at this point. And her backup account, if she tries to monetize and if it reaches 10,000, she's got more than one strike on that account. That's why she had to get a third backup because she was not only banned on her main account last week, she also got she got a 1 week ban on her backup account. She's literally on the verge of losing that backup account. And then her other account, which is at a third account, has 1,000 followers. Like, do you really want to spend your life getting all of your social media banned so that you can't pay your water bill?
She couldn't pay that to begin with. She was spending it all on rugs. And to buy Gypsy baby shower gifts that probably went right to the trash. She's not putting that stuff on her kid, Bree. Be serious. Stop. She's not. You're not a godmother. You're not an aunt. You're not even a real friend. Okay, she's using you.
That's what Ethan said. Ethan, True Crime with Ethan, said to me. He's like, if she was really your friend, why did you have to buy a book? Why did you have to stand outside? Why weren't you up there sitting with Christy and Rod?
Did Christy even acknowledge you, Bree? Did she even come up and say hi to you? Did she give you a pat on the back? Is that what you were looking for? Some sort of validation? Because you're not getting it nowhere else.
She was outside because she wanted to be with Lifetime cameras.
Well, then she should have picked something better to wear. But that was, instead of buying Gypsy a baby shower present, you should have been getting a GoFundMe for an outfit.
This person says Bree is live, but then they ask who that person is. You're okay, Bree. Like, don't be so obvious, Bree.
Bree doesn't even know who Bree is at this point.
No, Bree has lost her mind.
She's on there just doing rugs, and she knows she is. And they're all up there supporting it. It's really terrible. And she has audacity to be standing out there with police pointing people out with them warrants, Bree. You should watch out.
Bree has 5 warrants, I heard. Maybe more.
That's crazy. Like, who? And then Rogie showing up like that with his charges that he has on his record carrying something. Oh, and what is a Bayou Mafia? Just because your family tree's a wreath doesn't make you a mafia. Just because you're all at the same reunion.
There she is. You started off all quiet, and then you got your.
Oh, did it work?
Yes.
Could you hear me? Good, because that was a good one. Okay, they're just a wreath. It's a family reunion is not a freaking gang meetup, guys. I want you to know that. You're not a mafia.
You're not a mafia. You're the people that are casing out these people. And also, in the United States, the First Amendment means everyone gets to have an opinion, not just your opinion.
I can't believe she really said Bayou Mafia. Like, she should be embarrassed. She's like, what? How old is she? She's like, how old is that woman right there?
34, 35.
Who, Bree or Sheena?
Oh, Sheena, probably 50 maybe, or maybe 40s. I don't know. It's hard to tell. You know how like when someone has bad health, they can age? So she could just be like in her 40s and in bad health, or she could be in her 50s. I don't know.
And I felt bad for you, Sheena, because you clearly have bad health. And you being around Bree is just toxic. I want you to know that. Like, she's sucking the life out of you. Look at your poor ankles.
Oh, Anna got the pictures are in from her. She went to the event and she got her pictures.
Oh, wow, Anna. They actually gave those to you?
Was it everything that you were hoping for and more? Was Gypsy's eye looking directly at the camera or to the side?
That was.
Sorry. They sent
Did they get her good side or no? I was wondering, would they get the
so
good?
they sent you everybody's photos to you. So you got photos of people you don't know? Are you fucking kidding me?
That's got to be illegal somehow. Like they just sent you random people's photos. Like they didn't even have the decency to take everyone's email. Like, okay,
They
so you gotta find yourself.
were too lazy to. Oh, so they were too lazy to figure out whose number matched to who to send an email. So they just did a mass photo dump.
It's like Where's Waldo for Gypsy Rose.
Oh, Anna, you can email me at tips@withoutacrystalball.com.
That's insane.
Yeah, you can send me a link to the Google Drive.
That's crazy. Like that is really beyond. That's something right there.
Like a not professional setup.
Well, I mean, it's Gypsy. She showed up in almost pajamas.
That feels like it's almost slightly like privacy invasion.
That's what I said. Like you just have people's pictures out there, but it's such a threat. Why would you want to send all your supporters pictures to other people, like to everybody?
What's really fucking creepy about all of this, though, is that a schmurderer has your email address and your name.
And a photo of you.
Yeah. Oh my
And she likes to dox people and threaten people and drive by their work and try to figure out where they're at.
Oh my God, Anna, you better get. Oh,
That's crazy. I wonder how if we like found like isn't there like a page for like inspiring actors or like what are they called? The people who like stand in the back. They don't really do much.
extras.
Like extras. I wonder if we could like look them up and compare the photos. How many extras are there?
Oh my God, what a mess.
That's
Okay,
gonna be in someone's acting portfolio watch. I met Gypsy Rose.
if you guys have not tapped the follow button, oh, thank you, Addie. If you have not tapped the follow button while you're here and you're not following, make sure to tap. Faith, your roast here was the most impressive roast of my entire life.
Thank you. I try. You know.
Don't fuck with Faith ever, or Jesse or Scarlett ever. Like those are my mods, and if you fuck with them, I will like. That's not okay. Like my mods aren't mean. They don't go troll. They don't have troll accounts. They don't make memes. They don't harass. They're just on my page with me. They stay to themselves because they know that I'm not down with that. I'm not down with trolling. And some of them want to troll, and I'm like, no, you're not going to troll.
So badly sometimes. It just.
Like, you're not going to troll, Faith.
I know. I have to be good, and it's okay. It makes me a better person. Truly, it does.
All right, you guys, thank you for joining me. Anna, I will send you my email where you can share the Google Drive. And then tomorrow we'll go through these photos. And I won't share photos. We'll just see like how Gypsy's eye is looking at the camera. And I want to know if there's like a mean mug of Christy.
Yeah, and see what her photo with Bree looks like, or Bree even got one.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Thanks.